Hey, good morning, everybody. I decided that if I get up early enough, I am going to come on and just do a morning coffee with MrE. So, got my coffee. I'm going to go through some news, maybe do some reaction stuff. I don't know. But it was funny. Yesterday, they were talking on X about fixing the algorithm on the For You string, on the For You stuff for your X account so that more of the stuff fits into like who you follow or the stuff that you actually look at. So I I figured, all right, so I'm going through and decided to look at the For You, and it's just kind of smattered with all kinds of like liberal junk, just garbage. It's like the same thing every day. The liberals blaming the Republicans for the government shutdown and that they're denying people SNAP and health care. And it's the same thing every single day. So before I went offline yesterday, I went through, and it's funny how it happened. I went through and started kind of blocking all these Democrat Congress people and the senators because you could reply to them and explain to them exactly what was going on and why the government couldn't open back up, even though all of the Republicans, except for one, voted to open the government back up on this clean CR. But then the exact same thing will get posted later. So I'm thinking that none of these accounts are actually being posted by real people. Or if it is, it's not the senators or the Congress people that are posting them. So I went through and I blocked every single one. It was funny. I blocked like three of them, and then I refreshed and hit home and started over. And then one after another, it was almost like the algorithm said, okay, we're going to blast you with every single one of the Democrat senators and Congress people. So I sat for a good hour blocking, 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 blocking. So this morning, as we go into the news, we're going to kind of see what the timeline looks like now. I'm going to share it with you so you can all see it. And I haven't even looked at it yet. I opened it and looked to make sure that we can see it on the screen. But we're going to go through it together, and we'll get the news and see what's going on overnight. I'm sure there's going to be some stuff from later last night that I didn't see, but well, I shouldn't say later. Probably around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon that didn't pop up in my feed. But then there's always some Johnny Come Lately stuff too. So let's go ahead and get on to that. And it's weird because my camera is now over here in front of me, and I'm just a little bit off center. So when I'm reading off the screen, it looks like I'm looking away slightly. So forgive me for that. Until I get a better, I got to get a whole better video or a webcam anyway. But anywho, let's do that. So let's go over here and make sure everything pops up. And I just got to open the right one here. There we go. All right, now I'm just going to pop over to the other screen because I can be there. So why don't we just open up with a prayer this morning? Chad Prather posted, "Pray with me, 1 Thessalonians 4, October 28th, 2025. Father in heaven, we come before you with humble hearts, desiring to live lives that please you. You have called us to walk in holiness. Teach us to abound more and more in purity, integrity, and love. Remind us that our bodies are not our own, but temples of your spirit, set apart for honor and not for impurity. Lord, help us to love one another as you have taught us, not only with words, but with actions that reflect the heart of Christ. Let our hands serve faithfully, our words build up others, and our lives point to the hope we have in you. May we lead quiet lives, work with diligence, and walk in such a way that outsiders see your grace in us. Father, we also take comfort in your promise about those who have fallen asleep in Christ. Thank you that we do not grieve as the world grieves, for we have a living hope. One day the trumpet will sound, and the dead in Christ will rise first, and we who remain will be caught up together with them to meet you in the air. Comfort our hearts with this truth and anchor our souls in the assurance of eternity. Until that day, strengthen us to live faithfully, love deeply, and stand firm in holiness. Keep our eyes lifted towards the skies and our hearts grounded in your word. In Jesus' name, amen. That's a good prayer to start out with the morning. All right, so here's like today's news. These are a couple of the things that pop up as, in my feed. I don't subscribe to any of these. They come up, but this morning they're a little bit interesting. So with the government shutdown hitting its fourth week, workers miss pay, SNAP benefits are cut off. I do believe our military is going to get paid, and I believe the people that live off their Social Security will get paid. President Trump said he was going to use like tariff money for that. Plus, there's the donor that put the money out to make sure too that it was like $130 million or something to that effect to make sure that the military gets paid. All right, so San Bernardino deputy Andrew Nunes killed in a domestic shooting. Suspect captured after a 150-mile chase. Senator Rick Scott introduces a bill to suspend congressional pay during shutdown. I want to comment on that. Going forward, I think that if the government goes into lockdown, these people have to have an incentive to work together to get this back up because they're still getting paid. It doesn't matter, okay? They're still getting paid. And if they're getting paid, they're going to say that they care about the military and the people that are getting Social Security and so forth. But they don't care. I'm telling you, these politicians do not care about us. So I think it should be written into the law when government comes back up that if any side chooses to put the government in lockdown ever again, that congressmen and senators do not get paid. And it doesn't matter if they go in there to work. Like right now, the Democrats are in there pretending to be working. But if they were really working, they wouldn't be on the 13th try to pass a clean CR. And speaking of, when we do these bills, one bill, no pork, okay? Going forward after this. That's just going to be one more way of cutting out lobbyist money. That's going to be another way of cutting out the fraud, waste, and abuse that ends up, well, we'll call it money laundering because a lot of that comes back and lines the pockets of the politicians that are voting for this. So if you agree, give me a big thumbs up. And while you're at it, if you haven't already, I'm putting this on both of my YouTube channels. If you haven't subscribed, the links are in the description for all of my channels. If you could please go to the channels, let it pop up in another screen, and at least go subscribe and give a thumbs up. You don't have to share them all out, but I need help growing especially my my Rumble account and my newer YouTube account. What's funny is I've had a BitChute account, which this is not going live to BitChute, but it will probably be added up there today or by tomorrow this time. But my BitChute, I have maybe like 163 subscribers there, but I get tons more views on my videos on BitChute than I do with both of my YouTube channels and Rumble combined. Okay, so if y'all can jump on over there and subscribe, that would be really cool. Because if for whatever reason I get shut down on YouTube, and oh man, I didn't even think of it. I got a warning from YouTube about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they took down one of my videos because I was quoting scripture, and that was as to how it relates to that little country over in the Middle East that everybody's talking about. Okay, so let's keep moving on. So then I get ads. I still get the ads coming up in my X account, and I do have my blue check mark now. So um, it doesn't stop the ads. They're just a little bit less frequent. Okay, so here's DK posting to see if the algorithm has improved like Elon said it would. My guess is that most of my 437,000 followers will never see this post. I saw it. It's going to show that it was seen because it showed up in my timeline, but I'm not going to click on it. A lot of these people put this stuff up there for clickbait, to be honest with you. I'm not going to put it up there. I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to go through and post my stuff until after the show. Again, Trader Girl Q, these are all people that I follow. They're just doing a test to test the new algorithm for tomorrow. She posted this last night, 13 hours ago, actually. Okay, Anna Paulina Luna, do you want the war to end between Russia and Ukraine? I'm gonna come back to. I'm gonna just bookmark this because I am gonna come back to that, and I do have some Ukraine news that I forwarded to my fiance because I thought it was kind of funny because it happened in her town that she's living in right now. It, it's not funny like hilarious, but it's funny because it's the first time I've seen any news come up about her town. It's been pretty quiet for her since she moved there. Okay, so we'll go through until I don't know. Well, until I'm either done with my coffee or whatever. Okay, so yeah, the cool thing here for the new Japanese, what is she like? She's the prime minister. She don't f around. They're comparing her to Abe, and Trump made it a point to go over and meet with her. And she's with the immigration stuff. She's not playing with that. She's not kicking them out of the country, but she's not allowing them to practice Islam in the streets like they're letting that be done in New York, where you've got, like 3,000 Muslims going out and blocking off a street and doing their morning prayer, kind of like taking over a street block like BLM or Antifa would do. But she's not playing that game. They're gonna get arrested, and if they're arrested for that, they will be deported. So this is pretty cool. So I'm gonna just click on the show more here. So she's the first female prime minister of Japan. Um, Japan's supreme law is the San Francisco Peace Treaty, which was signed under duress aboard the USS Missouri. That was like from World War II. The San Francisco Peace Treaty concluded between the Allied powers and Japan on September 8th, 1951, following World War II. On the surface, it's said to have ended the approximate 7-year occupation by GHQ, allowing Japan to regain independence as a sovereign nation. However, in reality, it was a treaty that ensured the U.S. military, and this was the deep state back then, would continue to dominate Japan even after GHQ's withdrawal. I don't know if they're going to mention this, but see, when I was in the Air Force, I was stationed in Japan, up at Misawa, way up in northern Honshu, and I was up there for 3 years and 3 months. Um, the interesting thing is that after World War II, Japan was not allowed to build up their military. Okay, they were allowed to have certain things for defense, but they weren't allowed to build up their navy and other things like that after the war. And I think that was all part of this treaty. Okay. So reading on, it says, as a result, all of Japan's politics up to now have been decided by the United States military. Well, the deep state. It was the people that were still around that were controlling Japan. But it said military, but when they put the DS, it's deep state. Okay, and the entity that decides this is the Japan US Joint Committee. In fact, former Japanese Prime Minister Yukio Hatoyama testified, until I became Prime Minister, I thought all laws were decided in the Diet. But when I actually became Prime Minister, I was shocked to find that everything was decided at the Japan US Joint Committee at the new Sano Hotel. And I I thought that was cool that that was mentioned because I took a 2 week vacation from Misawa, went down to Tokyo, and we just for 2 weeks, and we stayed at the new Sano Hotel, and it was so booked full, and we had a reservation, and we ended up, we were enlisted. Me and my friend Gary, we were enlisted, and we had to. They follow through with giving us our rooms. We had two separate rooms, and normally enlisted people stay like on the lower floors. The upper floors were for like um, what do you call them, staff officers and above. Most of it was like the floor that we were on was a floor that was mainly for colonels, and we were on that floor for 2 weeks. And that hotel, when we were there, that's a 5-star hotel, 100%. It was pretty cool. So, anyway, it says Trump is the first American president to promise to abolish that Japan US Joint Committee. For Japanese people who know the truth, Trump is like a god. He is working hard to liberate Japan from the deep state. Excuse me. So that'll be cool because, you know, we'll get to number one, really see how Japan feels about us. Number two, it's gonna give another country their sovereignty back. Now, I'm going to go back here because the other interesting thing about this article, it's very similar to what happened with North Korea. A lot of people don't know this. After the Korea War, North Korea was not run by the the Kim family, okay? Like currently now is Kim Jong Un, but it wasn't run by the Kim family. It was run by our CIA and the deep state and military industrial complex. So I believe DARPA was involved in there too. For anybody that is a Q Post follower, okay, if you're still into doing that, there were some photographs taken with the then owner of Google, uh, having picture. He's had pictures taken where he was in North Korea and they were setting up internet and other things for them up there. So, but I'm not going to go into all that. If you can do some digging. Just go look at the Q post, or maybe even do a search. I think it's called QAnon.pub or something to that effect. I haven't been there for a long time. But you can go in there and do a search for like North Korea and things like that, and it'll show you all the Q posts that are related to North Korea. But it's pretty cool. I was also stationed at Osan Air Base, Korea. I was there for 2 tours, and even the military was brainwashed to the scare of how ruthless and bloodthirsty the North Koreans were. In all actuality, we found out that they they couldn't even feed their military. Their military was starving. Okay, so let's move forward. Here's something breaking news: Monday, October 27th, at exactly 4:30 p.m. The sun is expected to go completely dark. Okay, you see how they word salad that? It's a it's an eclipse. Okay, a lot of people that do following American values. That's supposed to be what's her name, the leader of Italy. But it's the reason I can tell you it's not. If you look at the fingers, you can tell it's AI. There is a lot of AI stuff on X now, and in some cases it looks so real you can't even tell. You can't even tell. Okay, PMC Wagner Group deployed to Venezuela. I don't think so. Okay, just because a plane landed there doesn't mean that they're there. On the From what I've read up until recently, the Wagner Group was disbanded and they broke apart after the debacle that happened in where I think it was in Afghanistan. But the Wagner Group got their asses kicked by the American military, and they were supposed to be working together, but the Wagner Group said, "We don't care that the Americans are there. We want that oil refinery." And they went to go take it, tried to pull some shady stuff, and then they got their asses beat. Okay. After that, the Wagner Group was supposed to have been like pretty much disbanded, and a lot of these guys went out on their own. I don't think that the Wagner Group is in Venezuela. I really don't. Here's something to remember, okay? When you look at the news, and you can pray for discernment, and you can do some research and find out some things, okay? So right now, the United States, I'm not going to say all of China, but I'm going to say what President Xi in China controls, um, Russia, and the parts of Russia that actually Vladimir Putin controls, and India, the parts that their president control. Okay, those are the main four, the big four, but there's more that are allies with the United States. These people are allies with the United States, and anytime you see something in mainstream media like this right here, saying that Russia is sending Wagner Group, which are basically Russian mercenaries, to Venezuela, you can say bullshit, because I know that the Wagner Group, for the most part, was disbanded. They got their asses beat, and they're definitely not want to go up against the United States military. If they're there, if there are some remnants of them that are there, they're not going there to fight the Americans. They're going there as the front group. So when or if we actually do go on the ground in Venezuela, then we've got allies there. But if they decide that they want to go up against the United States military, they're going to get their asses kicked again. Okay? So Putin and Russia are our ally. Sorry about wiping my eyes. I literally did just wake up a little while before I came on. All right, so discernment and some research. This breaking news here from Aletsky. Aletsky, if they're there, they're not there for Venezuela. They're there probably to collect the 50 million. Who knows? All right. Sir Oliver. Now, I like Sir Oliver. He's a New Yorker. He was on the ground during 9/11. He was actually helping to clear it. And he was a researcher far before any of that even happened. So um, he posted, remember when we were all advised to stock up on food and supplies, and we started sharing info on what types of foods and supplies we should stock up on with anyone who would listen? Remember when we were told to stay indoors if we see military outside in our neighborhoods? Remember when we were told that they would fight, but we are ready? Yeah, some people didn't listen. This is that time. I think we're within a week or week and a half of this. Okay. There is currently, and I watched. Who was it that I watched last night? I'm trying to remember who. All right, so there's a Patriot Street Fighter. I think he hosted the show. Michael Jaco was there, and then uh, what was he? Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel, SAS, the Australian guy. What was his name? Rochi, or I I see him all the time, but I don't remember everybody's name. But they had a, it was actually a pretty decent show. And they got to a point where they talked about this. Okay, so what a lot of people don't realize, okay, President Trump doesn't have to announce the Insurrection Act. Okay, there were things that happened all the way back in 2016. Okay, think of what happened in Seattle, Chaz. Think about what happened in Los Angeles and the with the riots, and then again they happened again. Okay, only this time it wasn't as bad. You could tell that the people that funded this stuff were running out of money, because especially on the No Kings that they were pumping up and trying to scare the hell out of everybody, the people that went and protested for No Kings, as soon as 1 o'clock in the afternoon hit, I mean, right on the dot, they might have been in the middle of a chant. They stopped. They put their flag or their sign down, and they walked back to their car. They were done. Okay, so they're running out of money, and most of those people, if you noticed, who were out there, they were they were my age. That they were boomers that were out there protesting, and most of them, when they were interviewed, the ones that they could talk to, had no idea why they were out there. Okay, they just were getting paid. They said, "Yeah, we need some people. They will pay you like $200 an hour." So they made $1,000 that day. They protested for 4 hours and they went home. Now, back in what I was talking about, because this all led into it, the Insurrection Act. There were some. I'm not even going to call them marker days, because I don't like look at like the Q post. I look at what happens in reality and what's happening out in the world. Okay, and not always by the news, because I watch. I only watch some news. I don't watch any of the mainstream media, but I look at what's being talked about. I catch a lot of stuff on here because there's still a lot of people that watch these and they're putting clips out. Again, I take a lot of those clips, um, and I'm like, okay, I mean, is that the whole thing, or did they just? I see. You can tell if it's cut off and it's not getting the full thing in. Okay. Um, but I think that the Insurrection Act could have very well have been in place during Biden's term. Okay, because for those of you that aren't awake yet, if you watched with President Trump when he was out there with the military on the Navy birthday, and he said that he was 45, 46, and 47, but he's not taking credit for 46. He was commander in chief then. Okay, he was still commander in chief. Biden was like the puppet president, or I should say the Autopan was. But I digress. Let's get back to this. I think where I'm looking, okay, and we look back to Butler, Pennsylvania, um, when Trump just turned and he was showing, they had the news people show the board of, it was like graphs. There's some bar graph stuff. You know, when he turned his head, that was kind of like, you know, when he got hit in the ear. Otherwise, he would have got hit right through the head. But what they were showing up there was some time and date stamps on the bottom. I might have a screenshot of it, but I don't have anything set up to share a screenshot with y'all. You can find it. It's out there. But there was an April 1st marker there. And the reason that I think that they've been outwardly trying to take him out is because on April 1st, you know, everybody says, oh, April Fool's Day, but April 1st of 2025, or was it April 1st, yeah, it would have been April 1st of 2025. After that is when the Insurrection Act actually was turned on, that it was started. But even Bossie is his name, Bossie, Lieutenant Colonel Bossie, retired, and Michael Jaco and Patriot Street Fighter, they were basically saying that we've had special operations forces. This would be kind of like a job what the Green Berets used to do. They would infiltrate in, get in there, get information. They'd be infiltrating with some of these groups. Okay, but we're thinking, oh, they're infiltrating with Antifa. Maybe there were some, but I'm sure we're going to run into one of her posts, because I see her posting every morning. For those of you familiar with Sarah Adams, she and Legend both have been posting furiously about, during Biden's time, the open borders and the people that came across, a lot of Al Qaeda and ISIS. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to my timeline because I think I might have forwarded that, and we're gonna scroll through that in just a little bit. I wanted to keep this short, but I think this first one, I think it's important that I'm not trying to lead you or trying to tell you how you should think, okay? But I do want to plant some seeds. That's what I'm supposed to do. But I want to show you some things so that when you see things like this right here, you will be like, yes, he's right. We need to do this. And when the military hits the streets, and you'll know, because you're going to see Humvees and tanks. You're going to see military in full uniform, and they're not going to be carrying rubber bullets and pepper balls. Okay, they're going to have real bullets because of what Sarah Adams and some of these other people are talking about. Okay, I can come back to this. Let me just go to my profile. And let's see. I gotta find her post. I even reposted to her. It's down here a little bit. I posted a lot yesterday, so. Okay, this is another guy. If you're on X and you're not following him, you should be. Kirill Dmitriev. He's kind of like Putin's speaker. Okay, his press guy. The guy is definitely a MAGA guy because he even posts Q posts. All right, so here's Apex Guard. They're posting the same stuff as Sarah. So I'm going to show you this. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's very, very long. but I'm going to scroll through and I'm going to hit on some of it. Okay, so first, before I hit this, we still had military guys that were pissed off that our trained Afghan partners were left so that the Taliban and Al Qaeda and ISIS could take them out. Because not only did we leave them there, we left the hard drives with their biometrics on it so it would be easy for them to be found. Thank you very much, Joe Biden, you piece of shit. Okay? So here we have all these trained Afghan soldiers. Some of them probably got pissed and went to fight for the other side. But a lot of them, because we have some good and faithful military guys, these were like brothers of theirs that they fought with over there. People don't understand that. I'm going to tell you, I didn't fight in a war when I was in Korea, but I worked side by side with Korean APs. Okay, they're basically the South Korean armies, or the South Korean Air Force's version of what I was in the Air Force. And we worked with them on a daily basis. Some guys, pranked them a lot and stuff, but some guys like me and my roommate, we made friends with them and had long standing relationships with some of these people and got to know them. And we became very good, close friends. So imagine that on steroids when you're fighting with somebody in a war and then they get left out there hanging for them and their families to be taken out. And a lot of them were. Okay. So here's what we got. These are people that are still on the ground there, and these are what they're talking about. Okay, they said it's not a prediction. If people are unaware, we've been running human networks into Al Qaeda for a decade now. Of course, it was to identify the terrorists who attacked us in Benghazi, but since the fall of Kabul, a lot of those Libyans went right to Afghanistan, and we've been tracking this homeland plot since then. That's TPA Sarah. That's Sarah Adams right here. Okay, she put that in. So high veracity intelligence and reporting coming through veteran channels instead of formal channels. Where are these veterans getting this? Like, why aren't we getting this from the intelligence community, or why aren't we getting this from the formal institutions? This is from their brothers that they fought with, the Afghanis that went through the training and fought side by side with our military, mostly with our special forces, our Delta Force, our Green Berets, the SEAL teams. Okay, they fought with these guys. They trained with them. Okay, so they've put out full maps on who these are. Okay, now I'm going to go into this one because this is what they're planning to do. A 9/11 style, what they call 9/11 2.0, Al Qaeda, ISIS together doing this. Now, before we go into this, think of the amount of Muslims and Muslim community that were already here in the United States. Okay, I'm just going to give you two cities. Okay, there's Minneapolis, Minnesota with the Somalis, and we know that they're not playing nice because quite a few of them just got busted on money Ponzi schemes. Okay, and then we've got Dearborn, Michigan, and then we've got Houston, Texas, and even worse, we got Austin, Texas. We got the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We've got them in Arizona. We got them in upstate New York. We have training camps in Michigan and upstate New York, North Carolina, South Carolina. Okay, just those few places that I mentioned, and there's more, a lot more. Put that into perspective. Now I'm going to scroll through here. We'll hit on some of these. Okay, at least 10 cities simultaneously, and they're not going to hit the big buildings like they did in New York to try to take buildings down. No. Number one, they're going to fight to the death. It's going to be swarming attacks, attackers on drugs, fully automatic weapons, 15 to 20 cells or teams per city. And they have backup teams, 5 to 7 man teams and 8 to 10 man teams, depending on where they're at, trained in the 360-degree ballistic shoot houses. Training like terrorists had in Fallujah. And Fallujah was a nightmare for the guys that had to fight there. Okay? They're going to be dressed up as first responders. Hold on a second. One moment. Got to turn my microphone back on. That's my fiance. So, anyway, simultaneously attack aviation industry. So they're gonna any place where they build airplanes, they're gonna hit. They're gonna attack veterans. So usually, and when they say, well, how are they gonna attack veterans? A lot of times, veterans will live in areas that are close to like military bases because a lot of times there's like VA hospitals and stuff like that there. All right, one moment. All right. She can't watch. She wants to come and watch the show, but their internet's not good, and the power just went out again. So they're yeah, a lot of weird stuff going on in Ukraine. So anyway, let's see. So the soft targets that they're talking about are like supermarkets, shopping centers, movie theaters, nightclubs, churches. So expect most of this stuff to go down on the weekends, especially on Sundays. Um, so here we got Hezbollah. Iraq has $15,000 bounty on Sarah Adams. Good luck with that. Um, they're talking about HQs at police stations they managed to take over. HQs at military objects they plan to take over. These military places that they want to take over is because they have armories, they have weapons and ammo there. Okay, they're going to take over hospitals. They're going to be dressed as ambulance drivers. Um, there a lot will be wearing suicide vests. You know, they're going to do their thing. Um, Public transportation, bus stops, buses. They'll wait till they get a full bus load of people, and then they'll explode a suicide vest. Okay, roadblocks to ambush first responders and secondary devices. So they might blow something up, wait for first responders to show up, and once all the first responders are there in the middle of doing their rescue, they blow up the second one. But I'm not going to hit all these. I'm just going to go through these, and you can see you can pause at the beginning to see the names, and if you're on X, you can subscribe, or follow these people. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's not a prediction. If people are unaware, we've been running human networks into Al Qaeda for a decade now. Of course, it was to identify the terrorists who attacked us in Benghazi. But since the fall of Kabul, a lot of those Libyans went to Afghanistan, right? And we've been tracking this homeland plot since then. So what they did is they went to Afghanistan for training, and then the Taliban were issuing um, passports to these people, and they were coming in. And then you got stuff like this going on. Stephanie Corey, she's an American UN official lobbying on behalf of the Al Qaeda terrorist who killed U.S. Ambassador Stevens. So this Sarah Adams, this is the one. If you follow her, she was actually on the ground. She was one of the CIA analysts that was on the ground during Benghazi. Okay, so you saw from the list that I put up there what Sir Oliver is talking about. Okay, so when you see the military on the street, you know why. Okay, and just stay in your house. Don't approach them. Don't talk to them. You can wave maybe, but don't approach them. Don't fight with them or anything. All right, so I'm going to move on because I don't know, where am I at here in the scheme of things? How many minutes? I've been going for 47 minutes. I didn't want to go over 45, but we're not quite done yet. We're getting there. So I wanted to also show you my timeline on how it's kind of cleaned up. I don't have a whole lot of junk in my timeline anymore. Every once in a while, I might get one pop up, but it's not so bad. And LH Gray, this lady is a no holds barred. She will get in your face. She will bite your face off if you're wrong. Okay. So now, with the whole government shutdown, and now what the left is screaming about is it's not about they aren't really talking about the healthcare anymore. Now they're talking about SNAP because they're not going to get their food money. Okay, and now we've got a lot of these SNAP people that were on SNAP. Their SNAP gets cut off. Did you see how it was when it says, okay, no more sweets and unhealthy foods could be bought with your food card anymore? Okay, did you see how they reacted that they couldn't get all that stuff? And you see these videos, these TikTok videos of these women coming in and showing their $1,200 haul of groceries, and 98% of it is snacks and junk food. There was no real healthy food in there. Okay, now imagine what's going to happen when they take it all away. Okay, and you know what? I don't care, because California, one of the things that made me decide that I was going to take and block all these Democrats is because you can't tell them nothing. Okay, when they're saying, they're crying that President Trump is going to allow 5.5 million Californians to go without their SNAP food benefits. And I'm like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. 5.5 million Californians are on SNAP? So what California is saying is 5.5 million people out of their total population are disabled? I'm going to call bullshit on that. There was another article that mentioned between California and the state of New York, they didn't mention even like North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, where there's other people that large amounts of people that are on it as well. Okay, but what the population of the United States is, what, about 350 million people? Okay, and 5.5 million is just from California alone. There's still 49 more states, and they all have people that are on food stamps. Excuse me. But my point is, how many of that 5.5 million people are actually disabled? Fat is not disabled. Fat means you need to get up and get out and go do something, okay? You need to go do work. And the way things are right now with California, I would say 2/3 of that 5.5 million people, they may not have that many open jobs in California right now, but they will once all the illegals are gone. But they can hand them a stick with the poker on the end, and they can go down their streets and poke garbage and fill garbage bags and clean their streets up and clean their cities back up again. Because I tell you, inner city San Francisco, LA, San Diego. I mean, I was more recently in San Diego, and I saw some of the inner city under the overpasses where all the homeless people are living at, and it is bad. It stinks. The people are dirty. They leave their trash all over. There's drugs. It's bad. Okay, so I think SNAP enables people to become lazy and fat. You notice that most of the people that you're seeing on SNAP, Shaniqua weighs like 350, 400 pounds. She should have her SNAP taken away just so she can lose some weight. Otherwise, she's going to die of a heart attack. You know, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying that's the truth. Okay? So let's move on. Oh, so Tommy Boy, for any of those of you that were following Portland, the Portland Antifa pretty much got shut down, got their city taken away. But Tommy Boy is now in Seattle, triggering college students. Yeah, he's doing a Charlie Kirk, but not in the way that Charlie Kirk would do it. But he is triggering people. Anyway, moving on. Some more EBT stuff. 81.3% of people getting free food from the government in this country are not American citizens. 81.3%. We're subsidizing foreigners on the taxpayer's dime. The General posted, these are the people that are, the amounts of people that are getting SNAP benefits. Look at this. Screenshot that. You can freeze it. It's a video. You can hit pause and go back and read it. All right. Yeah. Barack Obama knew Hillary Clinton was mentally unfit for office. So it's going to, this here is stemming off from what Tulsi let out. And this is where I'm going to end the morning news on because we've just gone a little bit too long. Tulsi let the cat out of the bag. This is just the first stone that got knocked over the cliff that's going to cause that rock avalanche to go down. About the female gang member that were taking pregnant females in, forcing the C-section, selling the babies and organs and body parts. Okay, that's just the beginning, and they're going to show how this witch was involved in all of it. And when they said that she was mentally unfit for office, because the original Hillary Clinton, I found this out yesterday, the original Hillary Clinton died of Kuru. Look up Kuru. Okay. And I know people out there are going to say, prove it. You know, look at all the videos of Hillary over the years when it really was the Hillary that was out there. Okay? That's how she was. And she would have the cackle and do the weird stuff. Makes me wonder about Kamala Harris sometimes too. I don't know, maybe that's just her nature to be be a cackler. I don't know. But anyway, I am going to switch back over. And I'm going to look directly at the camera now. But if you guys want to have me do these morning news things, I'll keep doing them. Just give me thumbs up. Do some subscription, follow, whatever. Okay, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to do it. You don't even have to share. Okay, I share it on my X and maybe on True Social. Those are the only two social medias that I even go on and do anything with. Oh, jeez, I forgot. Hold on. For my people that are actually watching me from Ukraine, I have a lot of friends in Ukraine. Okay. And my fiance is ready. Anyway, this just got posted from Venezia. Winner of the school chemistry Olympiads created a drug lab with $1 million income. So they had a drug lab in Venezia, this little town where my fiance just moved to recently, and they ended up this kid barely out of high school, sentenced to 9 years. Anyhow, all right, I'm gonna end it. When the wifey calls, you gotta get over there. Gotta keep her happy. So anyway, love all you guys. God bless. Heads on a swivel. Remember what we went over. It's true. Okay, just trust me on this. And even if you don't believe it, at least just be more aware. Heads on a swivel. Okay. God bless every single one of you on the other side of the screen. Like, share, subscribe, please. All of my channels, the links are below. I have a PayPal on the front. If you feel like giving me something, that's cool, because I am on a limited income. And then I also have some sponsors, 2 of them, okay, in the links. Take care. God bless.